And happy geekery to you, Bill. How are you?
I'm doing well, Pat. It has been a all-out assault here, getting ready for this coming April's big event, which we're going to talk about a lot in this episode. Now, we also have a very interesting interview that we're going to get to later, and that is one of our friends from AGM. We're going to talk about some very interesting stuff in the thermal vision arena. And also, we're going to discuss some options for night vision, a couple of different ways to skin that cat. And we're going to talk about some slugs because that has really been the bane of my existence for the last couple of weeks. Yeah, Pat and I had our struggles at the first headshots event in Florida. That didn't go as well as it could have.
Could have gone a lot better, but
and part of it was lack of preparation, and the other part of it was Bill and Pat taking turns shooting each other in the foot, which didn't help us dance very well, and it led to underperforming. Let's put it that way, and be kind. But yeah, we're trying to get a lot more in the right arena this time. The last time we were in the wrong pew in the wrong church, and we were like 27 blocks away from where we were supposed to be. So, and for those that didn't see the last episode, I showed up to an event that, with my 2017 or 2019 Impact Mark II. And it was to make matters worse, it was the early issue of the Mark II. So literally it was just a glorified Mark I. Didn't get any of the power enhancements, any of that stuff. So it was it's a good pellet gun. It is a good pellet gun. And if you're within 75 yards or closer, and you're not really worried about the effects of wind, it's actually a great gun. I mean, I used it here on the farm for coyote suppression and getting rid of other predators, but it needs to breathe a lot deeper in order to get into this slug game. And Pat has been he's been my guide down this path so far. I'm like, well, Pat, tell me what I need to make this happen. And I've been leaning on our sponsors for this year to get me some parts, and right now, right behind me, my Impact is literally, it looked like somebody chewed up and threw up a Impact on my workbench. It literally is completely disassembled. Everything is clean to Pat clean spec. Which,
there you go.
If you've ever seen Pat work on an airgun, that's a whole nother level of cleanliness. So, it's hard for farmers like me to get to that level of cleanliness, but my Impact is there right now. So I took everything apart the way Airbucks describes it in his video, which was a great video on doing this work and getting it disassembled correctly and not damaging anything. So I think we're in a good place. The parts arrive by FedEx tomorrow. And Pat, you were kind enough to send me a liner. And
yeah, I went into the FX drawer in the garage and found a 30 cal liner. So
it's not optimal for larger slugs, but I was talking to our friend Jason, Pat, over at Dead Lead Air, and we're going to put his banner up. And Jason, his tutelage was that, for his slugs and a lot of others, if you're in the 40 to 50-ish, 55-ish grain slug, you can get by with a 1 in 22 twist. He thinks it's a little bit slow. He really wants that either 1 in 18 or 1 in 16 to really get those things cranked up as they leave the bore. But I I've got to rely on what's in Pat's junk drawer right now.
Pretty much, yeah. Trying to get some of the barrels is a little difficult, but
So
we do what we got to do.
Deadlead is sending me some slugs. And for those that are listening, I'm holding up some H&Ns, some ones from the brand Rifle, Pat's favorite, some NSA.
NSAs, yep.
And we also got some JSBs, one of our sponsors this year on the podcast. So we're gonna, I'm not, I have no allegiance here brand wise, and Jason is sending me some Dead Lead Air stuff because I need what works best in this setup. Which Pat tells me that we're going to try and play the same game we played last time, where I'm going to get the gun with everything I can do here. And then when I arrive in Florida, we're going to do surgery again and make some changes, and then potentially go to a range and redo all of my dope again. If that works out. If I've got really good dope, I'm going to say, no, Pat, we're not touching this effing gun.
Sure.
We're gonna go with the way it is, and we're not going to tempt fate. But if there's room for improvement, I'm all for it. I ideally, honestly, there are platforms that are potentially better at this slug game right now. Anything with a dynamic block and this new demon that Daystate has come out with, those are all capable of pushing enough air to get really good slug performance. And as far as I know, Terry Clark is the only guy shooting slugs well out of a Daystate anything. So I'm not sure, if Terry doesn't show up, then maybe there's hope. But Canyon, I know, will be there because I think he's pretty close to there. That's pretty close to his stomping ground.
I don't know a competition, Bill, that Terry has not showed up to. So, and it's interesting, because you and I don't normally play what I like to call the Slugman's game, because slugs are it's wild cards. I mean, we're running FX barrels. That's one style. I'm shooting a raw. That's a different style. That's a Lothar Walther barrel. You got Terry Clark. He's shooting a Lothar Walther barrel. I think I don't know if it's traditional land or polygonal or what. Don't really know that. Twist straights, all of this stuff, because like Jason was saying, it's about gyroscopic balancing versus drag stabilization and stuff on how pellets are done. So it's a whole new world for us, which is exciting because we have never needed to shoot slugs for what we're doing.
No, in fact, Pat, the competition I shoot the most is regular field target, and slugs are outlawed there, so you can't. Right. Yeah, except there is one match director here in California who is a bit of a rebel, and he allows slugs at his events as long as the rest of the gun meets the criteria for the match. He allows slugs, but aside from that, it's no bueno here. So for me, it's been, I will say the other reason I've never really been all that on board with slugs has been, like you and I have talked about a million times, the range. I mean, I love the fact that a pellet is self range limiting. The last thing I need is some Nazi neighbor out here in lovely California. Oh my God, the crazy man with a gun, and the next thing I know, I'm I'm getting hauled off for killing a pigeon or something. So for me, I my pest control jobs here are mainly pellet tools.
Mhm.
So this whole slug thing has been a learning experience. And I'm thankful that I have guys like Jason at Dead Lead Air that are willing to, grab a hold of my shirt and say, "Hey, listen, man, this is what you need to do." And I've definitely changed my impact, which frankly I really wasn't using it much anyway. So it's all good stuff. It's all good work, and I'm hopeful that we can get this gun shooting a whole lot better, and me have a chance to actually get really good dope worked up on this gun with whatever shoots well in it, and make it into a at least MOA or sub MOA tool at 100 yards. I think I'll have a much better match at Ancient City, which is in St. Augustine, Florida.
Correct.
And that is coming up April 12th,
Correct.
not April 22nd, like I originally thought. I show up at a meeting with PBA, who is our sponsors this year, and I say, okay, I'm getting all ready for this event on April 22nd. And they said, well, hey, Bill, that's great, but you might want to make it April 12th because that's when it really is. Oh, okay.
You're doing a different competition too,
Sorry, guys. I'm
It's
on
all
board.
good.
I'm on board. But yeah. So that's my slug adventure this week. And Pat, we've got a guest interview today in this episode with AGM.
Mm-hmm.
And what I really found interesting from this interview, and I won't get into all the details because that would ruin the interview, was that the night vision game, even in the firearms world, is kind of incestual. I mean, there's a lot of the people that work in these different brands are sometimes the same people. I guess it's a very niche uh, technology and engineering expertise that comes with that. So
Mm-hmm.
they they tend to take care of this problem for a number of companies. But I had the opportunity to look through some AGM stuff, and I was blown away. And Pat, um, as far as I understand, night vision is really broken down into three primary camps, right?
Correct. Correct.
You've got the ones that are basically just a camera that's infrared enhanced. So they often just take the filter out of a regular camera and let it view infrared, and then usually you'll have an illuminator of some kind.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
And then you've got the Gen 4, Gen 5 military stuff, which is actually light intensifying,
Mm-hmm.
which that's a huge jump in cost.
Correct.
Uh, and oftentimes the magnification is
It's
not that
yeah.
great with that. But the movement in the industry around the thermal stuff, which is actually looking at much lower energy level infrared signals,
Mm-hmm.
the clarity on that has gotten ridiculously good.
Yeah. The
Um,
clarity that's affordable
hmm,
has gotten good. That would be the way I would want to put
good,
that,
yeah, good point. Good point.
because there's units out there that we've seen that are like $18,000, and I can tell what pair of jeans you're wearing and all that, and you're at 1,000 yards, but who wants to pay that? Or just for a basic non-laser range finding model night vision, you're 2,500, 3,000, 4,000, 5, $6,000. You're like, oh my gosh. Now you can get
Mhm.
them laser rangefinder with really good refresh rate, which means you get a good picture when you're moving, or when the
Mhm.
target's moving, with multiple different signatures. There's black hot, white hot, the lovely red and whites and all that stuff that you see traditionally, like I call it the Predator screen, you know, from the movie Predator. You can get a nice one for like $2,500 with the laser rangefinder in it, which is very affordable.
Nice.
So yeah, it's come a long way, and that's just in the last, I would probably say 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
Big jump,
Yeah.
big jumps in that. And ease of use. And the ones I'm talking about, I mean, at Palm Beach Airguns, we sell the AGMs, and you can
Mhm.
record. They have Wi-Fi, so you could be watching someone you're training, what they're looking at, someone that's on a hunt that you took on a tour guide, your kids, whatever, or just yourself.
Your
And
buddies can watch you miss and go, ah, he
there you go.
sucked.
Yep. And it's all right there. And even for handicapped people that can't get it up to them, and you could do it at a distance and just move the gun.
Mhm.
You can have that screen right in front of them, and you can do it that way too. Um, which has been some pretty interesting ideas on that one. Put it on the roof and just shoot from inside. That's a whole nother thing. But yeah, pretty cool stuff, you know. And it's got audio if you want it, so you can record your hunts and all that crazy stuff, all for that, you know, $2,000 up from there.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's come a long way. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah. Well, the thing that blew my mind was the improvement in true thermal night vision has just been explosive. So let's get to that interview, Pat, and talk to our friend at AGM and find out some more about that industry.
Sounds good.
Airgun Geeks, I've got a unique opportunity again for you here on the Airgun Geeks podcast channel. We're going to talk with my new friend from AGM. And I can tell you, I don't really have a good background on what AGM does. So he has agreed to come and educate us all on what AGM does and their benefits to the air gunners. So take it away, sir. Tell us more about AGM.
Yeah, well, my name is Jared. I work at AGM. I work in the marketing department. And a little about the company. AGM was started 5 or 6 years ago now. And the owners had a background in thermals. They had been in positions of ownership with brands you're probably familiar with, ATN, Armasight. They worked for FLIR. And so this is kind of their third act. They started AGM, and they've got a lot of industry experience. They've got a lot of knowledge. They've been involved in the thermal market for 20 years. And so this is kind of like their final act, I think, but they've brought all that knowledge and expertise over 20 years in the thermal industry, where it was really just starting out, and they've brought that to bear with AGM. So I talk about that because a lot of people are like, oh wow, you guys, your stuff's good, high quality. Where are you coming from? I haven't heard from you. New brand, but not a first time, but not kind of our first time. So what we want people to think of when they think of AGM is we've got something for everybody. We've got very high-end thermal optics that are suited for long-range hunting, for hogs, and for long-range shooting, for military, law enforcement. But we've also got things that are going to be more affordable, right? Something that you're going to be able to get into to throw onto your air gun to go shoot varmints or critters, or if you just like shooting at night. We've got incredible thermal sensors and great cores, good algorithms in our systems, so you can see targets and you can shoot at night and kind of expand your hobby after the sun goes down, I guess. So that's kind of a little bit about us. Newer company, but we've got phenomenal products and a lot of experience.
So I'm pretty sure it was an AGM product that you guys handed to me last year at RMAC.
Mhm.
And I remember, my previous experience with blob hunting, which is where thermal was
Yeah.
10 years ago, where you would see a circle of orange and you would say, yeah, that's probably a hog. And here's probably the place that will make him die. But then when I saw your product last year, I was like, it's like, I can't believe this is thermal
Yeah.
because of the level of detail that image had. And of course that image detail is super important when you're hunting from the aspect of, number one, knowing what you're shooting at.
Yep.
And number two, knowing where to shoot that animal to ethically end it. So, that was pretty cool. So I was kind of surprised that, being someone who has been in touch with military and aerospace technology for most of my career, I'm like, where did AGN come from? And where is this core of expertise coming from? Because that product was really freaking good. Now, it could have been that the product I was looking through was a $20,000 instrument that it will probably never be in my price range. I don't know. But what is going on with you guys and your price point and your plan to support the more common sportsman activity?
Well, that's a great point. Thermal technology has really, like, it's been baking, right? It's been in the oven, I think, for like the last 10 years.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, we kind of heard it ding, I think, 2 or 3 years ago. And the advancements that are coming, like, thermal is at a really cool place right now because the technology is going like this. And when the technology goes like this, the price goes like that.
Yeah.
So we're at a crossroads right now where, like, that unit that you look through, I don't know which one it was, but it would probably be $3,000 or $4,000. In the last 6 months, we've had stuff come out that we're offering for, $1,000, $1,200, kind of our entry level models, right? That 5 years ago, to get the same type of, like, sensor readings and things like that. And they're not really even comparable, but, like, because now are better. You've been paying $15,000, $20,000 for them, and you can pick them up now for $1,200, and you're not really going to miss out on a lot of stuff. We've got higher end products that are sitting at that $5,000, $6,000 range for dedicated thermals that, like, you'd love to put on your air gun. But what I like to say is probably 20% of your performance in thermals comes from 80% of your price.
Okay.
What I mean by that is, for $1,200, you can get into something that you'll have a great time. You can get out, you can find hogs. You'll absolutely see what hogs are. If you're trying to shoot rodents or varmints or pests around your place with your air guns at night, you'll be able to pick them up and see them, great. If you put one of our higher end units right next to those kind of entry level ones, you'll see the same thing. But with our higher end units, you're going to be able to see kind of the vein in the mouse's ear before you shoot it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's really useful, I think, for people that are trying to get out at night. Now, your trade-off is going to be at target identification, right? So all of our new units, you'll be able to detect heat signatures out to 1,500, 2,000 yards. Like, you'll see them, right? You can go sit up on the side of a hill and watch a valley, and I can see little dots of what I know are cattle, out moving around at a mile and a half. But the more money you pay, the better your detection range comes in. What I mean by that is, you can see something with 4 legs and know that it's moving around, right? And at 500 yards, 600 yards, you're going to be like, dang, is that a deer or is that a coyote? Right? Like, what is that? I know it's a 4-legged animal. I know it's small. Is that a fawn? Is that a coyote? Like, what's going on? And as they come closer, I like to say it's almost like $1,000 per 100 yards, right? Like, you're spending more of that money at 400 or 500 yards to be able to ID them real quick and be able to say, okay, yeah, that's something I should shoot or I shouldn't shoot. And it kind of comes back down, you know what I mean? An entry level unit, 100 yards, 150 yards. You'll start being able to say, yep, okay, I should take that shot. Maybe I shouldn't take that shot. I mean, in those confusing situations, right?
Sure.
A pig, you'll know a pig's a pig at those distances. But by making those things more affordable and more identifiable, more people are able to get out and use them, right? And they're great for hunting. Another thing I think that people don't really realize is that the algorithms running in our products and the sensors that we're putting in there give you the ability to see, like, steel targets at night, and you don't really have to do a lot of stuff to mod them, right? So it gives you more time to shoot. It gives you a new experience, and it's just getting more affordable, and more people are experiencing it, and they're just getting surprised with what we offer at the price points that we have.
Excellent. So tell us, how do our airgun friends find your products? Where is the best place for them to go find them?
Well, you can always hit up our website, agmglobalvision.com, but we have an extensive dealer network. We've worked really hard to build that dealer network and support those dealers. And honestly, I mean, there's so many great dealers carrying our products. They can look at Shields, they can Look at online retailers like Optics Planet, Brownells, all those guys have them. But there's a lot of local guys, and we try really hard to find shops that are local, that do a good job, that will take care of our customers, and just go talk to one of them.
What about that store that's like right down the street here? What do they call that?
Nevada Airguns? No,
Nevada
that's not right.
Airguns, that's
Utah
right.
Airguns.
Yeah, those guys. Yeah,
They're a great dealer. They're an example of one of our great dealers. So hit them up. They've got a good website. They've got a good program. They've got a lot of things you can go check out. Utah Airguns for it. But yeah, we've got a lot of great dealers. So
excellent. That's so cool. So, for the air gunner, right? And I'm speaking from my own experience in the way I use air guns. If I'm going to take a 100-yard shot with an air gun in the dark, it's not going to happen. I'll let that animal go. I'm not going to take that chance on my farm. I live in the bastion of the liberal movement in this country, in California.
okay.
And I don't want to draw that attention to myself. I've got a 5-acre farm. I want to know where that pellet's going to end up when I shoot. So for me, honestly, most of my work where I could really benefit from a thermal optic is going to be from 50 yards in down as close as 10. That's the range I'm working with. What would be your pick? What would you say, hey, Bill, this product would be great for that at a great price point? Because again, I'm probably going to be working with a, I would hate to say cheap air gun, but I'm not going to be probably doing that night work with a day state or an FX or something like that. It's probably going to be my Notos, which are they're great guns, my Gauntlet, tools like that if I drop them or kick them off a fence post, I'm not crying.
Yeah.
So what would be your recommendation for that solution?
Well, I always like to ask kind of what might your target be? What do you anticipate running into? What are you trying
to do? The number one enemy for me on my farm is rats.
Okay.
It's a constant war.
Yep.
Because we have animal feed. We're raising chickens, ducks, pigs, goats, horses, donkeys, and sheep.
Okay.
So we've got every flavor of feed a critter could want. And honestly, rats are really opportunistic. They will eat anything you put out. So controlling their population is an ongoing war.
Gotcha.
So that's the size critter that I'm typically going after.
Yeah. So I would look at our varmint line, and I would look at our varmint line would be a great one for you, and then our clarions would be fabulous. They're probably a little bit more expensive than you'd want to go for that, but yeah, I think our varmints would be good. Our Rattler V2 line would be really well. The thing you're going to want to look for is kind of your base magnification, right? And so the base mag in a thermal optic is identifying your starting field of view point, right? And thermal optics, with the exception of one that we have 2 objective lenses in, like glass lenses that you can switch around, they just have one lens, right? And when you zoom, it's a digital zoom. It's like getting your phone and coming in. So you're going to want to get something that's got kind of a tighter field of view. I'd have a higher base mag if you were shooting at rats, right? Even at 50 yards, I'd want to look for that. And then I want to make sure I've got kind of a middle of the road sensor, like maybe a 256, like a Rattler V2 256, like that would probably be ideal for that situation.
And honestly, I wouldn't take a shot on a rat size target at 50 yards. That rat, I'm going to create a funnel for him.
Yeah.
He's going to come into my death box.
Right.
And I'm going to have that all planned out. And I'm going to be comfortable. I'm going to be relaxed, and I'm going to take that shot. It's not like I'm out there, getting dropped out of a helicopter going after rats.
Listen, as somebody who's sent more mouse up that way in rats than probably anybody else, right? Like that's what you want to get. You want to get something that's got that base mag that's right there, so you can see them at 50. You can bring them at 20. You'll have a good crisp, clean picture. Something else that might be interesting, I don't know when we're going to post this, but we're launching, we've announced it, but we're launching our Secutor and our new Varmint V2 lines here in a couple of months, and they've got some rangefinders attached to them, and they've got ballistic compensation capabilities. So you'll just be able to find that rat, hit the laser button, and it'll paint an X right on it. So with those air guns that have quick drop, right, it'll be able to get you right in the box, and it's pretty simple to operate. So those are the lines I'd look at.
Have you had a chance to play with these products yet?
Yeah.
So, what is involved with entering that trajectory? Is it something where you're just telling the software, "Hey, my drop looks like this," or my drop at these ranges looks like this, and it fits that curve to the algorithm that's doing the
Yeah, essentially what you do is you go in and you're going to put that data, your ballistic data in, right? You're going to put
a phone or
no, you enter all the data through the scope. We talked about it and we're like, we want our primary method of entry to be through the scope, just in case you're out somewhere and your phone has a problem.
Extra equipment.
Yeah, we want it to be standalone, right?
Yeah.
So you're just gonna get like your muzzle velocity, get your sight height, put in your elevation, the ballistic coefficient of what you're using, those type of things, just standard, right? And then you just enter those into the scope, and then the scope picks it up, and you save the profile, and you can save multiple profiles for multiple guns or rounds, right? So once you put that in, you fire up your scope, select a profile, and then it's as easy as holding the box in the screen on the target, hitting the laser button, and it will spit out a solution and highlight where you should hold. So that's pretty slick stuff. Like I was using some of our higher end stuff that's meant for longer range shooting, and I had it set up on a 308 the first time I was using it, and 400 or 500 yards, I've got steel targets set out. Put all my ballistics in, and I just ran it off the box because I want to see how accurate it would be off the box without doing everything. So put all the data from the box into the scope. I sat out there, I had my target set up, I could see it. I fired off a shot, and I was shooting, suppressed in the middle of the night, 500 yards. It was the weirdest thing. I fired, I came off the gun, I could hear the bullet going through, and then ding, out there in the darkness, I hit the steel, and I had a flasher set on it so that the light would go off if I hit it. And I got a light that went off, and it was wild, man. It was absolute wild. And so I've used it on my 22 since then for varmint hunting and other stuff. And like, it's solid. It's a game changer, right? Because with thermals previously, you wouldn't really have a way to get that drop in, right? Because in like a standard reticle that
or you'd get stuck with somebody else's ballistic trajectory path.
Yeah.
Be like, oh, well, it's the 308. Well, what 308? Was it my 308 that I know the drop of, or was it some box store brand 308? But that's why I say, knowing that, being able to enter that data in an environment, that's where I was headed with that.
Oh yeah, you can change, and you can change it on the fly. You can, as long as you know your basic ballistic information, you can build a profile in a minute and a half and save it into your scope.
That's cool.
Be ready to rock and roll. So we got a lot of cool stuff coming out, but yeah. As of right now, I would just look at one of those rattlers or existing varmints, because they're going to get the job done for you, and they're not going to break the bank, Like I think we're hitting a point with thermals where a guy could really look at it and be like, should I get, like maybe entry level or a little above entry level LPVO, or kind of maybe
LPVO,
like a low power variable optic, like a 1:6 you might put on your AR or something like that, right? Like I could look at that and say like, okay, that's gonna cost me about $1,000. So you can go find like a lot of good, I mean, I'd say like entry level scopes, but maybe just a step up for around that $1,000, $1,200 price. It's not crazy to say, yeah, I spent $1,200 on this scope. No one's gonna bat an eye, right? You can get a dang good thermal for $1,200 now. And that's kind of like where people are starting to discover that and be like, oh. And I tell you what, man, if you haven't really been involved in using like thermal optics and hunting, and if you're an avid outdoorsman or sportsman or shooter who just loves doing this stuff, and you've never like just spent a couple hours doing it at night, it's going to open a whole new world, man. It's like, it will take you to a higher plane. You'll be like, whoa, I didn't understand exactly what was going on. Because you're just thinking of animals at night with thermals, you see so many things. Like most animals are nocturnal. They do a lot of things you're not going to see during the daytime at night, right? Like I remember the first time I got behind thermals, and I just went out and I sat with a pair of thermal binoculars, you know, for a couple hours at night, just looking around. It was crazy. I saw mice everywhere like I wouldn't believe. I saw rabbits running around. I saw animals trying to predate on them. I watched two great horned owls like lock claws in like a death fight, going down to the ground. Like all this stuff happens at night, and I had no idea. So thermals are way cool. And for an affordable price point, I think people are starting to wake up and say, oh, I can do this. I'm not going to break the bank, you know, give it a try.
Excellent. I guess the next thing for me to do is to actually try one, but I do have two follow-on questions. One of them is there some ability to actually record that data? Because a lot of us have YouTube channels, when we can get away with it, which is getting harder and harder.
Yeah.
YouTube is unkind to outdoor content of any kind these days, but is there a way to record that image data on the unit?
Yep, all of our units have got their own Wi-Fi signals. They're going to broadcast their own Wi-Fi. We've got an app. You can pick up the app and open that and see what's on the screen. So it's good if you got a buddy that wants to spot for you or look for something. And you have two options for recording. You can just set your scope to record whenever it's on, or you can turn on shot activated recoil. And so it's pretty sensitive, even on air guns. I mean, there may be some, I don't know every model of air gun. I know it works great on like suppressed 22 caliber stuff. On my gun.
Can you tell me what the trigger is for that? Is it
it's a vibration. So
Okay.
it's got a sensor in there and it just waits, and it's always kind of in standby mode, right? Recording. And then when shot's detected, it records and saves 15 seconds before and 15 seconds after.
So you've got a circular buffer.
Yep.
And when you sense that shot energy happen, that's actually a brilliant way to design that, because those of us that have experienced acoustically coupled event timing, it becomes really challenging when you start talking about lower power, really quiet air guns. But the amount of vibration energy in the gun doesn't really change as much as the acoustic does. So it's a great way to optimize your platform for a very wide range. So that's pretty cool.
It's super effective, and it's kind of cool, right? Because, you know, it's funny, you watch people have conversations, right? And when you're telling hunt stories, dude, the phone comes out and you're like, dude, look at this right here, you know? And it's pretty cool. It's also a really effective tool to correct bad habits, right? Like, I didn't realize this, but I started recording when I've been out hunting and doing like a lot of varmint stuff, and I'll miss something. I'll be like, how did I miss that? Right? Like, I swear that thing is on. Was it my gun? Is that off? Did the scope go? Did I put, you know, you start thinking of all the variables, and you go back and you look at the footage and you're like, dude, I just missed. I pulled, or I bumped, and this happened, or this happened. And so it's a good tool for getting feedback on your shooting, right? And it works well too, even if you're target shooting. If you want to see where your groups are and what's happening with your reticles, like, you can see the targets through all of our thermals. And so hop up there, shoot a group, and when you start missing, watch the reticle, see what's happening, see if you've got any bad habits you need to correct. So it's a really good tool for feedback there as well.
Excellent. So to kind of wrap this up and summarize, your company is not a bunch of guys that suddenly decided, hey, I'd like to build a night vision thing. It sounds like the core of your technology comes from a well of experience and knowledge, mistakes well learned, lessons that have value, that have brought about a new way of thinking or envisioning this thermal product. And sounds like a pretty great way of finally getting a tool in our hands that is priced at a point where we can, the barrier to entry is not quite as high. Selling the wife on $1,000 purchase is a lot easier than selling her on a $5,000. You don't understand, honey.
Yeah.
Those deer are going to be twice as dead with this.
Yeah.
But wait a minute. You can't shoot them at night anyway. You're not making any damn sense.
Right.
So this is an easier story and a more compelling story. The one I always like to use is, that animal feed they ate last month? I can help you with that.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
then all of a sudden she puts the blinders on and she's like, I don't want to know nothing.
Yeah,
Just go get it done.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, animal feed, getting them out of there. They carry diseases. They cause damage to your farm infrastructure. They're chewing through things. They're messing with, yeah, get them out, man.
Yeah.
Clean them out. Have some fun doing it. Don't break the bank. Like,
Yeah.
that's a great use for a lot of our stuff.
So my last question, and I'm sorry to come back to that after we've already condensed, but the other question I had was, what about when it's daylight? What is the performance of your product? Because I mean, not many of us have the ability to have a dedicated night rig.
Right.
How do you envision your product working in that solution?
Yeah, so thermals obviously work by finding contrast, right?
Right.
Those screens sit out there and they look for heat radiation essentially, and then our algorithm in the back goes and breaks down the different levels of heat, right? It's like color by number with temperature. Oh, it's this degrees, make it blue. Oh, it's this degrees, make it black, and it turns into a picture, right? So thermals actually work really good during the day. Our stuff does. Like earlier in the morning, you're gonna
So
have
you're
better
not
results.
blind.
No, you're not blind. You can use them during the day. Just make sure you have the appropriate settings put in the scope. You'll see better performance in the evening when it's cooling down, and in the mornings when it's warming up, just because there's more of that heat contrast.
Yeah.
Thermals are going to do the worst at noonday, right? Because everything's going to be hot. If there's a lot of humidity, like during the day, that can also mess with them a little bit. But the worst case you're going to have is something that's like really hot, and so you don't have a lot of temperature like differentiation, right, between your target and what you're shooting at. Like it can be like kind of a smeared bad day, and you put something cool out there, and you can see it plain as day, right? But as long as you have contrast, you're okay. Rocks are going to be an area where you want to avoid places that have got like a lot of big rocks. Those are going to hold heat and create like kind of weird heat patterns. But you can use them during the day. You're just going to have maybe some limitations like during the afternoon, like noon to probably 2 or 3, I'd say would be like the worst time. And it doesn't mean that you can't use them, but it means that they're not going to perform as well when you're looking for like smaller stuff. Yeah. So works during the day, works during the night. We also have clip-on versions. If you just want to grab one and clip it in front of your scope, we sell those too. So you can have one rig and just swap things in and out on it. A lot of options.
Cool. I do just think of one more question.
Okay.
I had a lot of optical experience in my existence in engineering
Okay.
over 30 years. And I know that there are some glasses, optical materials that work better for infrared wavelengths than they do for visible light. And you had mentioned that some of your units have optical lenses in front that are doing magnification. And if you can't share it, I understand, because I can't believe it's a trade secret, because material science is material science. But what are you using for those lenses on those units?
Oh yeah, that's
Is it standard optical glass?
No, that's a big differentiator between thermals and standard glass. We don't even use glass. No glass is used on thermals. We use a metal, and that metal that we put on the front of it is shaped and sculpted into a convex lens. So you're actually seeing through germanium metal, not through glass. So everything's germanium. They're metal lenses, but they allow those wavelengths.
They transmit. You get your refraction through that.
Yep.
Yeah, that was really all I was going.
I gotcha.
My dad worked for a company for 40 years that was Laser Optics in Bethel, Connecticut, and they were the go-to people for really hard to solve optical challenges. When the Apollo Soyuz mission happened in space, where we linked with the Russians, that was one of the last things for the Apollo program, was to link with a Russian capsule in space. There was a big issue. The lighting in the Russian unit was not compatible with the U.S. Optical recorders with their recording equipment. So my dad's company actually came up with a lens that they had to rush, like people working overnight, doing all of that old Apollo stuff, to get to them in time to screw on the front of their camera so that it would be color corrected.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was just so weird. But I knew that there were materials that were better as transmissive optics in that wavelength.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why you'll always kind of see a higher price point on thermals, just because they use germanium, and germanium is very valuable. It's very
Right.
expensive.
Well, it's not fun to work with. It's, you know, it takes skills
Yeah,
to do that.
I don't have a ton of experience in like the material science side. I just see it's expensive, it's hard to get, and it's not regular glass. So that's what, you know, one of the things that our engineers have told me, like why thermals are always going to kind of have a higher price point, just because of the things you need to use to put in them.
Sure, sure. Well, I want to thank you for
Yeah.
sharing some amazing secrets to the burgeoning world of thermal optics. It's been eye-opening for me.
Yep,
Thank you.
absolutely. Thanks for having me.
All right.
Wow, Bill, that was very informative. And I mean, even since this interview, the technology just keeps, I can't wait to see what happens in the next 3 to 6 months because
Oh
it's
yeah.
improving constantly, like he said. So it's
I'm
exciting.
actually kind of sorry I didn't get to go to SHOT this year because I hear there's some interesting things coming out in that arena, and I was not able to make it this year, and I kind of missed the boat on that. But yeah, there's definitely some coolness going on there, and you know, I see some real applications for this, even though they are still kind of pricey to get that really good um, visual acuity.
Hmm.
But there's opportunities at night that, man, it would be great to have the tool of the air gun accessible at night. Now, Pat, did you know that any night vision is actually illegal in California?
I did not know that.
Yeah. Now, hopefully somebody can correct me out in our listener pool, but I believe that it's technically just like silencers. Silencers are illegal in California. I believe it's only for firearms. So I have an ATN that I bought actually for this Impact Mark II, and I've used it. I've used it at night, and it's you know, it's a pretty decent tool. It's getting a little long in the tooth now, technology wise, but you know, if somebody asks me, says, "Hey, you know that's illegal." I'm like, I think if it's okay if it's on an air gun. I don't think they're illegal on something that is not a firearm. So
Hmm.
that's an interesting gray area. And if anybody has some thoughts on that, do send us an email and let me know. That would be super handy to get some real boots on the ground information. Now don't come back and say, well, I think it's this. No, I want to hear from somebody who knows what that ruling is. Because you know, I mean, I'm going to use what I got to use on my farm to keep my animals safe, and I'll I'll do what I got to do. But you know, having a tool like that for you, Pat, down in Florida, chasing iguanas around, um, and you know, you're going to get a pretty good gradient temperature wise if they've been out in the sun all day.
Hmm.
And right after dark, they're going to still have all that warmth, and the air is going to get cool, and they're going to show up like crazy. Um,
Well, it helps with, the pigs and the birds and all that other stuff too. But the big thing that when I talk to people, well, why can't I use night vision? Well, night vision, you'll look at the same scene and you'll see nothing. You won't see any mice or any rats. And then you'll look through a thermal and there's like 20 rats in the field because the night vision just is like shining a flashlight
mhm,
into the woods and the grass. Okay, that's blocking everything. Then you go and do thermal. It's just looking for heat signatures.
mhm,
So two parts to that. One, you can see it, and two, there might be something in front of it. It might look like a little line, so you got to make sure, like, I'm shooting at it, but I'm not hitting it. That that could be another thing. I've talked to people. They're like, "Hey, I shoot at these mice and rats, and sometimes I miss, and I know I went there." I go, "There's probably a branch there," and
yeah,
they're like, "Ah, there it is, there it is." So something to take into consideration. But yeah, the iguanas, you can see them pretty far in the trees, and
mm,
really you got to pay attention to the rats. But you do got to wait a little bit because the leaves are still hot and whatnot. But the technology and the refresh rates of the new infrared is real nice. The new thermals. So they're even I even saw where they're making little thermal red dots for your pistols.
Mhm.
They've gotten so small now. I was like, well, I'm not doing close combat training, so I don't need that's pretty cool. But that'd be cool on an air gun for close range stuff. But
Oh, absolutely. I absolutely. That's actually what I've been after,
Mhm.
companies like X Vision. I said, "Just give me one to try. I'd love to just do a video of me hunting rats with that tool." That would just give me such an edge. Um, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, light and compact. Let's
So
see.
so we're gonna go shooting with our friends here in a little bit on April 12th in
Yep.
Ancient City. And come check out all of the usual suspects. We'll teach. Um, I don't know if Airgun Angie will be back for this one or not. That's
I
kind
don't
of
know.
a
I
call
think
for
Ken will
her.
be there. Ken will be there
Okay,
from what I heard. I saw some they're
awesome.
getting ready for competitions, so he should be there because that's not too far from him up way up there. Um, yeah, people are coming in from Georgia. Georgia boys will probably be there. Some I heard some people from Louisiana be down. So
Mm,
last year it was a phenomenal event. Hopefully you all signed up because there's a big fellowship get together afterwards with all types of food and beverage and live band, and it's just a great hangout. So even if you weren't shooting and you're in the area, just show up. Have fun. BS with all of us, see the culture and all the
yep.
different guns that'll be there. So because you'll have pellet shooters and slug shooters, so it'll be
Mhm.
all over the board with that again. So
And I hopefully won't be one of those pellet shooters at this event.
yeah, neither of us will be pellet shooters. We will be all set when we get there. Plus, we're definitely going to go to the Palm Beach Shooting Center and maybe shoot some trap or
Mm,
sporting clays. Change it up a bit.
very nice, very nice. I should actually I should ship some of my pistols or bring them on the airplane with me to have when we go there, because that would be fun too. But the nice thing about your range for skeet, trap, and sporting clays is you can rent the shotgun, you can buy a box of shells, um, and it's all they give you a card to use for the sporting clays. So it's you can just go there with Ear Pro and Eye Pro and
Have fun.
go have fun. Yeah, heck yeah. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to at least 1 or 2 days on the range with the air guns, and maybe we'll get some powder burner fun there too.
Oh, definitely, definitely. Yeah, I can't wait. I've been there a couple times since we were there last, and
What? You're cheating on me, Pat?
of course, I got to make sure it's good, and that wasn't just a
Oh
fluke. Yeah, I haven't
yeah,
shot
yeah, yeah.
any firearms, but you know, getting the air gun, trying to figure out what slugs work in my raw that I'm borrowing. So
What have you used? What have you used so far?
so far, I have tried hybrids. I've tried the slugs from Impulse Air.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had, I forget who the other ones were from. I think it was Rifle Company, the rifle ones.
Mm-hmm.
So far, we'll see. We're still trying to figure it out. I'm not quite happy with the way things are. The guns,
Now, have, have you been moving through velocities with those choices, or
I
just
have a
trying
raw.
the
I have a raw. I can't adjust too
uh,
much on them. Sort of is what it is. I can adjust the hammer. I can mess with that, but I'm trying to see where we're at with what it is. Because I mean,
mhm.
pellets, I was shooting 920. These are like high 800s. So I'm trying to try some different grains, We'll see what maybe we'll try some of those slugs from Jason from Deadlight and go from there and have some fun. It's a lot of experimenting on my end, especially
Yeah.
since I can't adjust too much. Don't want to mess with it. So we'll see.
Okay.
All right. Um,
I want to remind our viewers, do help us game the YouTube game, and help us with your comments down below. Help
yes,
us with your sharing. If you share this on your social media, it really, really helps blow up our numbers and really helps us get out of this naughty box that YouTube tends to paint
correct.
anybody in the gun flavored industry. Help us break free of that. You can make a difference. You sharing your comments, your interest in this content is what makes this happen. So
Yeah,
thanks everybody for your viewing, and do help us get the word out and help us spread the magic of the Airgun Geeks podcast.
correct. There's one thing I wanted to touch on, and that was
What's that? What's
chronographs.
that, man?
Chronographs.
Oh yeah. That's the one thing that
Mhm.
you forgot on me the last time we shot together, right, Pat?
Says the man that has 12 of them. Um, yes. There's some really cool stuff that Bill and I were chatting about while he was here, and that was, of course, the infamous Garmin one
Mm.
that's close to the $600 mark. And then we started hearing stuff about the Athlon version, which looked a lot like the Garmin one, but for like $350.
Well,
So not
let me let me inject my thoughts on how close the Athlon and the Garmin are. I've been in product development and product tests for 30 years, Pat,
Mhm.
and I will swear that Athlon unit is made in the same company that makes the unit for Garmin. And they're not going to put less electronics in it. I'm very curious to check one out, but that looks like it's going to be the deal of a century to get that level of chronograph at the price point Athlon is bringing it, and I'm very curious to check that out.
Yeah, me too. Me too. It'd be nice to have a chronograph that does everything, firearm speeds, all the way down to the slow shooting air guns. So that's going to be interesting to
And
see how that works.
you can get either one, or you can get right now at PVA, right? Palm Beach Air.
So yeah, currently right now we have the Garmin's in stock,
Mhm.
but now the Athlon ones are available. So I know that we'll be having those soon, and I know for a fact that uh, we're going to be doing videos on them. You're going to be breaking them down and
Mhm.
figuring out between the two, um, and just getting the details out. Getting geeky with it.
Yeah.
Because for some people, $600 is a big dollar, and they
Mhm.
want to have something for both. Because now we're getting a lot more people on the firearm side approaching both of us, which is exciting in itself.
Mhm.
And they're like, "Yeah, but I want something that can do both." And it's like, when I heard this Athlon thing I saw in Shot Show, that made me excited. And I think Athlon has caught on also that to meet the markets, and we'll say the value of the dollar, how far your dollar will take you is pretty big. So it's going to be interesting because that's one thing that both of us have done is messed around with a lot of chronos and trying to figure out what works, what doesn't work, what's easy to use, and what's a good all around chronograph. So
And
I'm looking.
I would argue, Pat, that the air gunner is more reliant on the chronograph
Hmm,
than the casual firearms guy who's shooting box ammo
correct.
from Bass Pro or Cabela's. I mean, they're kind of stuck. Their velocity is whatever the velocity is. Knowing it doesn't really change their game.
Correct.
But for the air gunner, knowing what that magic velocity is that brings you accuracy is the one the one tool that you're going to use to analyze on game day when you're ready to go shoot, what does the chronograph say? Okay, it's the same as it was when I practiced. I'm good to go. You get that confidence. So for the air gunner, the chronograph is a absolutely critical tool.
Oh, I agree. That's the first question I ask anyone that calls. It says, "Hey, my gun ain't shooting well." Well, how fast is the projectile going? I don't know. We're done talking. I can't. I can't help you because that's vital. So yeah,
Yep.
I'd agree. The air gunner and the reloader. Those are really the two groups of people that are doing it. And the reloader is the guy that bought the new gun and is trying different grains and get the feet per second and then accuracy. At the end of the day, your impact and my impact are not going to like the same speed for whatever reason, and it has to be adjusted. But you got to have that base. You got to get in the ballpark, get in the section, find the row, and get the seat. You got to work. You got to work it down. So yeah, that's exciting for coming up. So make sure you watch for those videos. We'll discuss it, of course, here on the Airgun Geeks channel, but also check out Target Forge on YouTube. And for all of your geek information, that's a great place to see it. Bill is very, very active there. So make sure you check that out. And again, if you have anything that you want us to talk about, comments about the podcast, things you don't like, hey, you guys are doing a great job, all of the above, that would be wonderful. Yeah. And all of you who are listening on Apple Podcast, keep up the good work. Would love seeing the 5 stars and comments. Apple, that is really big on the Apple network, on with the algorithm there. On Spotify and everywhere else, as long as you're subscribed, make sure you hit the bell for notifications when the podcasts come out to keep up. That is vital to keep what's going on. And for those that didn't see the first episode of the year, the Airgun Geeks podcast will be coming out with one podcast per month for the rest of the 2025 season. It will come out generally the first week of every month. The latest would be the second Monday. We're just trying to make sure that we pack as much information as we can and trying to keep up on all events and whatnot. So anything else you got, Bill?
I think we're ready for the big exit, Pat.
We're ready for the big exit. So like always, be safe, make memories, and remember, stay geeky.